Rightio. Well, this is my new prototype design I'm working on that works with a traditional deck and some dice. It does not have a theme at the moment. I'm looking for suggestions on that front. So to go over the setup a little bit of what we've got here, we have a player deck. So this is set up for a 2-player game. It requires you to have 2 decks to make up the player decks in this stage. So player 1, player 2, or player 1, player 2, you randomly decide who starts. So you've got your player decks here. This is the market deck. So the player decks are made out of all number cards from 2 to 6 of all suits for both players, which is why you need a second deck. The market card is made up of the cards from 7 to 10. And then you've got the target deck. So the way the target deck works is you separate all the face cards and the aces, and you shuffle them all together. And then depending on player count, you draw a number of them and shuffle them up and place them in the middle face up. And that's the target. So they're the ones you're trying to go to. So that's set up here in the middle. And then you've got impediment dice, which are these guys here. I'll explain how all this sort of functions at the moment. I've got some extra cards here just because we've got different card backs. So when you buy a card from the market, so that you can't tell which card it is, I've got this second deck set up here. Ideally, you'd have like same backs or have card sleeves or something like that. All right, so that's sort of how it's set up. For a 2-player game, you'll have the 2-player decks, 4 dice, the target cards shuffled, and in this instance 8 are dealt out at random and then flip face up in the center here with 1 on display. The market card is shuffled again and you have 3 put out for initial display on the market display there. There 3 are available for purchase, and then each player will have a hand of 6 cards to start off with. So they'll be in your hand. They're kept, so I've got them visible at the moment, but when you're playing, actually they'll be hidden. And yes, so you keep that in your hand for now, and that's it. That's your setup at this stage. For solo play, it's the same, except you don't have the extra player deck there, obviously, and there will be objective cards. So this will be set up instead of randomly shuffling and then dealing out 8. You will have an objective card that will tell you what your targets are, how to build the target deck, all that sort of stuff. For 3 players, you will need 2 decks for both the market and the target deck, and then you will deal out 12 cards and flip them face up. And then for 4 players, which is the max player count for this, you will have 3 decks, and so 3 in the market, 3 here, and then 4 decks so that each player has a set of player cards. Again, you will shuffle it and you will deal out 16 target cards and then flip face up. You also have the round card, which is the Joker. So when you move through this, you'll go to round 2. So this only goes for 2 rounds. You've got 2 rounds to score as many points as you can. I'll explain how point scoring comes in a second. So round 1, Joker's this way. Round 2, the Joker will go that way underneath the deck, and that'll tell you. So when you reach the Joker, that's the end of the round. Flip it around. All right. So because there's things that move the targets to the back of the deck and stuff like that, so you can move through the targets. That's why that is set up that way. All right. So objective of the game is to score points, and the way that you score points is by going for the targets. So the way that you go for a target is that you make runs. So runs are sequential cards. So 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Each target has a different amount that you will need to have in the run. So for a king, in this example, king requires 6 cards in the run, which isn't possible with just your basic starting cards, because you've only got 2 to 6, so the max you can go to is 5 with those numbers. So you have to buy something from the market to get to a king. You'd have to buy the 7, but it has to match suit. So if you claim this, if you had say all 6 cards here, you'd claim that, you'd get the points for the King of Hearts and the value of the cards in the run, plus some extras, which I can go into when we get there. All right, so the best way I think, so that sort of explains what you're doing. Highest points wins. These are worth points. The cards you place in the run are worth points. Aces, which are in here, have a special ability based on their suit as well, the way they score. That's sort of unique to them. But yeah, so jacks require 4 in a run, queens require 5, kings require 6, and aces require 7 in the run. So that's sort of like how you claim your targets, which is how you're going to be scoring points. All right, so the way that you go about playing cards into a run and scoring points is that you have your player area here with the positions. So there are positions 1 through to 6. So on your turn, you will look at the cards in your hand, and each player will do this simultaneously. They'll look in there, and then what they're doing is programming. So they're deciding which position they want to place their cards in and if they want them face up. So face up means that they will use their action. Otherwise, face down is going, I just want to keep these for the next turn, because any cards that are used will be placed in the discard pile at the end of this turn. So looking here, you go with, so position 1 is adding cards to the market equal to the card's value. Position 2 is you want to trigger the card's suit ability. So spades allow you to knock out impediment dice equal to or below the value of the card. Clubs allow you to manipulate the impediment dice a number of pips equal to the amount of the value of the card, or knock out a card in another player's run. So for instance, if you were both going for the King of Hearts and your opponent was closer, you could use a clubs. If I had this clubs 5, I could knock out their 5 of hearts if they had one there and knock it out, so it would mess up their run. Hearts allow you to add as a wild into any run. So you have to follow the suit of the target to be able to start or finish, like to start a run, to complete a run, it has to match the target suit. However, hearts can be used as a wild in any other suit. So obviously not that useful when it comes to the King of Hearts here. It would just go into it as normal, but in any other suit, you could play this in the 4 value position as a wild suit. And then there is diamonds. Diamonds add points values. So you can place the diamond in a 2 position and place it in the run on a 90-degree angle. So it doesn't count towards completing the run, but it does then add in extra points on top of what the target and the value of the run would score you. So it's just a way of amping up your points if you place a diamond there. So that's position 2. Position 3 is placing a card into the run. So anything in position 3, you're wanting to place into the run. Positions 5 and 6 are your money. So they are what you'll use, sorry, not 5 and 6, 4 and 5. Positions 4 and 5 are what you'll use as your money. That's your currency for buying things from the market. So the market cards are worth their value. So this is 9. So if I had, say, a 6 and a 3 here, I'd have 9, so I could buy that. So you've got up to your combined total of these cards here, if they're both face up, that you can purchase from the market. When you purchase from the market, you take the cards that you have used for your currency and you flip them face down and put them under the bottom of the market deck, and then take the card that you wish to purchase into your position area here in either 4 or 5 face down. So that's how that works. And then position 6, the final position, is how you move through the deck. I've realized I've missed something out of position when I come back to it. So this is how you move through the target deck, but only if there's no runs started on it. So if there's no clear run on it, and this is not something you wish to target, if you play something into position 6, you can then move through the target deck equal to the value of the card in position 6, and so up to that point. So if I placed, say, a 3 here, I could move through 3 cards or up to 3 cards. So I could stop at any point within that 3 if I come across a card that I would like to target. So the other thing I forgot to mention with position 1 is not only does it refresh the market, but in a multiplayer game like this, it is also the lowest value is the one for the lowest value card played is the one that refreshes the market. So if both players or all players play a card into their position 1, the lowest value is the one that's going to refresh the market. But the highest value played there is going to take the first player. So that's how first player moves around, which possibly need to have something to demark who first player is. So just take this and use that. So for instance, that's the first player marker. And that's how you'll claim that. So this will refresh it, or you play a high card so the market doesn't get refreshed as much. So it's always going to be the lowest value that will get filled out unless no one else plays a card. At which point you both refresh the market and get the first player marker. So that is all the positions discovered. So you work through here and then you work out so you organize it in your hand, how you want to play out your cards. So for instance, this is a King of Hearts. So I can't really go for the King of Hearts, and neither can my opponent necessarily without cards from the market, but you can still start a run on it and hope that you'll be able to go into the cards you need. So I wouldn't know what my opponent had in their hand. So I'd work through, now I should explain actually before I go through it, impediment dice. So this is a pool. The pool gets rolled after everyone has decided where they want the positions of their card. The pool would be rolled, and then the first player gets to pick a die value to assign to themselves and a die value to assign to their opponent. And then the other player would just pick from the dice remaining. And the way that the impediment dice work is that it will go on the position equivalent to its value. So if this is 5 and this was here, it'd go in position 5, and the card in that position would be removed from play. Sorry, discarded, not removed from play. It would be discarded, so into your discard pile here. So you wouldn't get to either, if it's face down, hold on to it for the next turn. If it's face up, it would be removed. You wouldn't get to take the action you were hoping to take with it. In the case of position 5, you wouldn't get to spend as much as the market. Now, in the case of doubles, if you get assigned 2 die of the same value on your side, so if I decided that I was going to take this and then assign this, and if this happened to be a 1 and 1 was all that was left, say, then he would have to take a 1 for himself and assign me a 1. So that'd be position 1, this would be position 5 on cards that were face down here. Doubles mean that the card is immediately removed from the game. So that card is now no longer in the game. So doubles can be bad. But the way that you can prevent all of this is that once the impediment die are rolled, if you have a card of the Spades suit in position 2, you can remove those impediment die from you up to or below the value of the card that you've played there in a spade. Or if you've played a club in that position, you can manipulate the die up and down pip values equal to the amount of the value of the card here. So that's how you can sort of mitigate the die. So So you've got to weigh up if you're wanting to spend those cards. So for instance, if this was a club or a spade face up here, it's like, do I want to add it to the run, or do I want to protect the cards that I'm trying to take actions with? How do I want to do this? So that's sort of the decision space there. So if we go ahead, I'd nearly have my way to a jack if there was a jack of spades out there with all of these, but so and we'll put the 5 here and see if we can, what do I want to do? I'll put that position 2. So you do all this in your hand. So you put that in position 2. We'll put the now the 2 of spades is actually a wild, because otherwise it essentially would only protect itself in the 1 value position. So the 2 can actually be used, 2 of spades can be used to remove any 1 impediment die of any value. At least that's where it stands at the moment. Maybe it is balanced just having 2 and a 1, but I just thought being able to only block its own position essentially was a bit of a waste of a card. So I might put the 2 of spades there into that position. Since these are a nice sequential set of cards, I might try, should I go try and buy some cards into my hand? There's nothing that's going to help me with that King of Hearts though. Which means, do I want to try and get some, so I'll put that in position 1, that's position 2, this is position 3 because I want to try and add it to the run. I don't really, what I might do is keep those for later. Oops, I don't want to turn them around just yet. I'll play them face down when I get to it, but yeah, oops. You wouldn't show that to your opponent. So what you can do, if you're placing anything face down, so you remind yourself, you can just put it straight away in the face down position in your, so you retain what you've got there. Do I want to try and cycle through since there's no, I don't, because I'm placing a card on the run. So I'll keep that for later for protection. So that's my programming. You'd go through all this programming and then each player would reveal simultaneously what they've programmed. So let's see what this guy's got. I think I got 6 of hearts, so they might try and start a run there too. That could be used as a wild at some point. So 5, ooh, 6, 5, 4 of diamonds, that's not bad. So if we do it like this, and then, so, now keep in mind you can still lose face down cards if the die rolls it that way. So we'll try and protect as much as we can. So yep, we reveal. So like so. Okay. So there's that. Impediment die get rolled. Right, since I'm the first player, oh dear. Rightio, this could be very interesting. Oh no, it's not too bad. Okay, so so any spades and clubs can be activated as soon as the impediment die are rolled. Or assigned. No, once they're assigned, sorry. So you choose and then you can activate. Sorry, I've been developing in the solo space. I'm still working out the multiplayer. So I can take out anything. So I will take 3 for myself, and so I don't get hit with doubles. Put the 3 there, trying to knock that out, at which point it's the same, so they take the 4 and give me a 4. Right, so that's that done, that's assigned. Now, if we've got any spades or clubs in the zone, in the position 2 zone, we can activate their effects, starting with the first player. So I will activate my 2 of spades. So to show that you've activated an action on a card, you move it down from the line. And I will obviously get rid of the 3 back to the pool. And then 6 of clubs will activate on my opponent's side of things here, which means they can manipulate the die up to 6 points. So, what do they feel okay losing? So, they want to keep the first player, and they want to be able to play this on here. So they've already used this, it's going to be discarded anyway. So if they manipulate that down, that's using 1 point. And then what have they got down here? They had that run of 3. So I mean, they could put it on 2, but if they do that, then they have to remove that card from the game. So they don't really want to do that. They're 6 of clubs. They're losing a card no matter which way they slice it. So it's just a matter of which one they feel comfortable losing. So they might pop this up 2. So go there. Now, when manipulating the die, you cannot go above 6 or below 1. And the dice do not cycle. So a 6 plus 1 does not become 1, and a 1 minus 1 does not become 6. So it's something important to remember. Right, then you resolve the impediment die. So this automatically gets discarded by 3 of clubs. That gets discarded. And then this comes here. And that gets discarded. There goes their 6 of diamonds. All right, and then starting with the first player and alternating from position, you resolve your actions. So the 4 of clubs here, bring that down, means I retain the first player marker because I had the highest value. The lowest value then kicks off and refills the market. So there's a max of 5 cards allowed in the market at any given time. So although it was 3, it only goes up to 5. So no hearts, not overly useful for either of us. All right, then I place my 4 here to start a run. Any hearts I get later either have to be 1 above the 4 or 1 below the 4 to be able to play it into the run. And they will place their 6 to start their run on the king. And then all other cards are face down, so no other actions are resolved there. So both players discard their used cards. For the cleanup phase, no runs were completed, so no scoring or anything that happened. So we just go straight to cleanup because otherwise there'd be like you'd work out who claims. The first person, so whoever finishes their run claims it. So that's where the first player is useful as well because you might get the opportunity to complete your run before the other player does. When you complete a run, you score all the points in the run and then place it into your discard, and you take the target into your claimed target area here. Scoring the points for the target and any diamonds you might have added into it as well. Right, at which point then you refill back up. So you take these cards back in your hand and then draw back up to 6 cards in hand. If at any point drawing, when you go to draw, your deck is empty, or drawing up, your deck empties, you shuffle your discard pile to recreate your deck and then draw back up to 6. So yep, that would be my new hand. Then my opponent does the same thing. Take these back in the hand and then draw back up into 6. And then you'd start again. You'd look, you'd organize, program what you want to go, then you would reveal what you've programmed. And once you reveal what you programmed, roll the impediment dice, knock out any cards, if any, like if you've got no clubs or anything like that, knock out the cards that were targeted by the impediment dice, resolve your actions, buy things from the market, complete a run, so on and so forth, until the end of round 2, or if all targets are claimed. So if all targets are claimed, or you reach the end of round 2, that ends the game. You tally your points, or you look at your points. Whoever has the highest points wins the game. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Hopefully that's been clear enough as a concept and sort of a show of how it works. If you've got any ideas for a theme, I'd love to hear it, because I'm sure like it would help. That potentially like even doing a little bit what Regicide did, which was creating a like a themed deck or themed cards. So it still can be played with a traditional deck or traditional decks in multiplayer, but you can buy the themed product, or you can print out. If you want to do, probably do it print PNP as well. Like you could get a PNP copy of like a very specific deck, which means that like, you know, you'd have everything you need out of the box with all the same card backs, with different colored fronts to denote which player cards belong to each player or something along those lines. But yeah, a name and a theme is what this game needs. But other than that, from what I've play tested so far, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of thinking sort of in where you position things. Like, yeah, I've been really enjoying it, and hopefully others will as well. If I can get some rules together and send them out there, but hopefully this is enough to sort of teach you what it is. Yeah, like I said, these cards are on here. These aren't actually part of the game. They're just here. So if, like, say, for instance, they bought this 7 of clubs, they could just grab this 7 of clubs here and then go in there so that their opponent couldn't tell that, you know, the red card was their market card and potentially target it when they're picking impediment dice for what they sort of want them to have knocked out. All right. I think I knocked the stand there for the camera, sorry. But yeah, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this concept video. Please let me know in the comments what you think, if you get a chance to play it. I realized I hadn't gone over the scoring for the face cards, but it's a bit complicated. So what I thought I might do is I will post the text for the scoring of face cards and just in general how scoring works, and also for the suit's abilities, so that you've got a reference for both scoring points and how the suit's abilities works, and even maybe describing the position actions, like just the basic overviews of those sort of mechanics and that bit that I've got written down in rule format. Yeah, so that you can read it below this video there. So that's where that'll be. But you should have an idea of how to play from the video I did. All right, thank you.